Greetings. I'm Thomas Caldwell of the Aurelian Column, and this is the Book Report. These days, everybody's a photographer. Everybody's a movie producer. That smartphone, if we can call it that most of us on this planet seem to carry these days, gives us instant access to high-quality photography, or at least the capability of performing such. You have real nice state-of-the-art electronic imagery, anti-shake, all sorts of wonderful things, panning, time-lapse, high speed. You can catch a bullet with some of these photographic instruments that are included in our cell phone. How many of us actually get phone calls anymore? You kind of wonder. You can probably count on half a hand the number of times you speak on the phone any time of the day. But let's go back to a time before electronic photography. In fact, let's go back to a time when color film wasn't even a thing. And an art form was in the process of being created. Now, for someone who has been obsessed with photography at times in his life since the age of 10, I can assure you that it is something that takes a lot of practice, or at least it used to. Everything from focusing a camera to understanding the light to understanding filters. And they always had us start off with black and white, monochrome. This was the way that we learned. I know it might sound crazy to many of you now, but at one time, photography was far more primitive, but it was far more human. And I must say, far more of an art form and far more natural. And you can't think of that art form without thinking of a man who not only developed it, excuse the pun, but also showed a side of the North American continent that most Americans didn't even know existed. I'm speaking, of course, of Ansel Adams. He's a man that was born in the first years of the 20th century and died in 1984. He had a fascinating life, and he did something that all good artists do, made a great exit in the form of a book, which is something he was very good at putting together, especially books with photographs in them. Today's book is Ansel Adams, an autobiography, written, of course, by Ansel Adams with Mary Street Alinder. This is the lady who pretty much did the heavy lifting on this job. And speaking as someone who has done this sort of work when you've put together autobiographies for people, she did an excellent job. Now, this book came out in 1985, about a year after Mr. Adams passed away. And it is one heck of a book to have. When I first ordered it, I thought I'd be getting a little thing about his life, but no, what I got is a massive picture book. Very, very well illustrated. This guy knew what he was doing when it came to layout and imagery, and I think today he would be lauded just as much for being an artist now as he was back then. He had such a great eye. His life was quite fascinating. If you ever see a picture of him, you'll notice that his nose is a little twisted. That happened when he was a child, and he was in San Francisco, where he was born and grew up. And when that earthquake destroyed that city, he was thrown against a wall and broke it. And from there on, he had an amazing life, was an accomplished pianist, and fell in love with the mountains of California, the Sierra Mountains especially, the desert, and the country in general. And this is his story. And it is not a short book. This is a few hundred pages, and it's filled with illustrations, including some of his most amazing work. This is a guy who hiked to the top of mountains in the 1920s and 30s with a large view camera with glass plates. And he was able to take some of the most breathtaking photographs that have ever been created. One of them is a moon that was rising over a cemetery in New Mexico. I won't spoil the story for you, but there was only one shot, and he only had a few minutes to take it. And some of us complain that we can't get the best shot with these high-tech things that we carry in all of our pockets. Now, this guy was a master. But what was most amazing is this guy was also a teacher. Oh, what some of us into photography would not give to have gone back in time and attended one of his workshops or seminars or hikes up into the mountains where he would teach you different techniques, like using a framing plate to hold up to different scenes to get an idea of what things would look like. The guy did know how to teach photography. And I would say that many of the developments that we have in this art form are a result of his work. But this is a fascinating book. You can still get the hardcover of it, which I would highly recommend. It's available on Kindle and paperback, but I haven't checked out on Kindle, and I don't think the photographs would look anywhere near as good as they do in the hardcover. You can still get the hardcover, and it's not expensive. Like $17, $18 in many places. There's still a lot of them in the warehouses, apparently. I don't think they'll stay there forever. Now, photography is something that is becoming a lost art because it's gotten to be so easy to do. I've seen great photographs produced by people, but they don't frame it very well. They don't know how to crop. And one thing that Ansel Adams taught us about this art form is the negative. In these days, it would be the initial photograph you take on your phone or with your electronic camera. The negative is the score, something that the composer has created. But the performance is the print. Now, back in the day, he worked in a dark room, and sometimes he would make dozens of prints before he settled on one that was just perfect. He didn't do things halfway. He did them all the way. There's a lot you can learn from this old master. And it's a fascinating story about a time when, well, the arts and technology were not as advanced, and it was up to the human mind and creative soul to advance them. So this is a book, if you're into art and you're into beauty in the world, especially the natural beauty of the world, and how this man almost single-handedly saved some of the most sacred places in the American West. It's a great book to read. Again, the book is Ansel Adams, an autobiography by Ansel Adams with Mary Street Alinder. It was put out as a New York Graphic Society book back in 1985, which is part of Little Brown and Company, and they're still publishing this, although the hardcover I don't believe is in print anymore. It is still available. You can also find it on Kindle if you want to read it easy. I don't think you'd want to get that for the photographs, though. This is a great book to have if you're an artist of any kind, but it's a must-have if you're a photographer. That's it for today. If you appreciate my work, please like, subscribe, and share. Share with your friends and share with your enemies, especially if they like photography. I can be reached at feedback@aureliancolumn.com. That's feedback@aureliancolumn.com. I'm up on X. My handle there is MICCAMPEN. That's MICCAMPEN. This podcast originates at Substack. My handle there is aureliancolumn.substack.com. Until we meet again, be good, be safe, be vigilant, and remember, keep reading and never judge a book by its movie. Good day.